Be back. Hello there. So what the hell happened here? I don't know anything about this story, but the BBC just posted this 31 minutes ago. Murder victim told police I can't breathe while being handcuffed. So I'm not going to watch the video, but I will read. Student Henry Nowak repeatedly told officers I can't breathe as he lay dying in handcuffs after being stabbed. Body footage cam shows. The 18-year-old student was handcuffed after killer Vikram Digwa, 23, lied to police at the scene of the 2025 stabbing, claimed he had been the victim of a racist attack. Oh, footage released by the force with permission from Nowak's family showed him pleading, "I've been stabbed," and an officer replying, "I don't think you have, mate." That's fucked up. Nowak suffered stabbed wounds to his legs and a fatal wound to his heart from a 21-centimeter blade. Digwa said he carried as part of his Sikh faith. He was jailed for life with a minimum 20-year term. The Independent Office for Police Conduct said an investigation into police force actions was ongoing. Okay, speaking in the House of Commons earlier, Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood revealed a police officer unrelated to the case had been misidentified and forced to relocate in order to protect him and his family. The Attorney's General Office is also considering the jail sentence given to Digwa after receiving multiple requests to review it under the unduly lenient sentence scheme. Okay. Nowak's family from Chafford Hundred, Essex, called his treatment by police inhumane and degrading. I mean, that is true. When you get stabbed and the police are there and you're like, oh my God, thank God, justice is here to save me. And they're like, shut up, you haven't been stabbed. And the force has apologized. His father, Mark, said Henry told officers that he could not breathe 9 times. He told them that he had been stabbed 4 times. Henry was pulled across the gravel, his hands forced behind his back, and he was placed in handcuffs. That's brutal, man. That is so fucked. He said the contrast between his son and Digwa had been treated was unbearable, right? Because the victim is being treated like a fucking, just some guy, some crazy guy or whatever, and the perpetrator lied to police and said, I'm a victim of a racist attack or whatever. Okay, anyway, Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody, he added. In the footage, a police officer arriving at the scene can be heard asking, "What's your name, mate?" Nowak, who was lying on the ground, faintly replies, "Henry." As the video continues, Digwa steps into frame. He claims Nowak had taken his turban off and grabbed him by the hair. The officer asks Digwa if he was injured, to which Digwa replies, yeah, I've got a swollen eye here, a little bruise here. Officers then turn to Nowak, who can be heard repeating, "I've been stabbed," and then "I can't breathe," while he is made to sit up to be handcuffed. As the footage continues, the officer can be heard asking where Henry has been stabbed. Then he adds, "Don't think you have, mate." While being handcuffed, Nowak says, "I can't breathe," another 3 times. The officer can be heard saying, he says he's been stabbed, so let's just check him. He appears to briefly lift Nowak's shirt around the belt area before he is left to lie on his side. A female officer can be heard asking, "What do you think he's been stabbed? Where do you think he's been stabbed? In the face?" A male voice replies, "He hasn't been stabbed." Nowak, who seems unresponsive, is then told he is being arrested for assault. Hampshire Police's Deputy Chief Constable Robert France said that within 3 minutes of interacting with Nowak, the officers were starting to perform CPR. "This is a complete tragedy. I'm sorry that they couldn't save Henry that night. I'm sorry that Henry was handcuffed and arrested as he lost consciousness," he said. The pathologist who spoke in court was clear there was nothing officers could have done that day to save Henry. Well, that's probably not true. His wound was deep and internal, the bleeding extensive but internal. I mean, being stabbed in the heart's pretty bad, but also being handcuffed and ignored by responders who are like, you're not stabbed. You're fine as you lose consciousness. You could have maybe stopped the bleeding a little bit. I don't know. Addressing, or at least called an ambulance. Like, Jesus Christ. Addressing the Commons, Mahmoud said the stabbing was an evil act, and she wanted to pay tribute to the powerful words of the Nowak family. She said the body cam footage was a disturbing and tragic thing to see. The IOPC will be equipped and encouraged to act to find the truth and to ensure, if necessary, that there are consequences, she said. But she said there was a dangerous undercurrent in how some had reacted to this awful crime. Sir Keir Starmer said that as a father of a 17-year-old, he felt sick watching the footage. He said there were searching questions for the police that are going to have to be answered. It is absolutely right that the police watchdog investigate this, he added. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage said on social media that people should respond with pure cold rage to the treatment of Nowak. In a statement, he said that Henry's family have responded to this in just the most extraordinary, dignified way and claimed Britain has a two-tier culture where the rights and privileges of white people matter less than those of ethnic minorities. Conservative leader Amy accused Farage of deepening divisions as she argued police should treat everyone equally regardless of race. The police should just treat everyone shitty. Great take. Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey said it was an evil murder made so much worse by the police response. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police and Crime Commissioner Donna Jones described Nowak's death as a national tragedy. The conservative politician said she was meeting with his family and had written the Prime Minister calling for an urgent review on the carrying of bladed articles for religious and ceremonial purposes. A spokesman for the Attorney General said, "We have received multiple requests for Vikram Digwa's sentence to be considered under the unduly lenient sentence scheme. The law officers have 28 days from sentencing to carefully consider the case and make a decision." Under current legislation, practicing Sikhs have a legal defense for wearing a small curved blade known as a kirpan close to their body for religious purposes. While Digwa had been wearing a traditional kirpan under his clothing, the weapon he used on Nowak was much bigger, and he had worn it in a sheath on top of his clothes. Okay. So a totally different weapon. Got it. When he was asked his mother, Kiran Kaur, to take it away from the murder scene, he described it as a shastar, which is the Punjabi word for weapon. Kaur is due to be sentenced for assisting an offender later this month. The Sikh community has strongly condemned the killing and told the BBC worries about Digwa's behavior in the past had prompted them to bar him from one of their places of worship in Southampton. It added, this happened long before he murdered Nowak. The Sikh Federation said the blade used by Digwa was not a kirpan, while the Sikh Press Association added plans were in process to ensure every initiated Sikh in the UK was addressed directly regarding kirpan rules and responsibility. That's kind of crazy. Every single Sikh in the UK was directly... What? That's kind of wild. In a statement, Digwa's family said they were deeply sorry. I must be misunderstanding that. In a statement, Digwa's family said they were deeply sorry for the pain and suffering the Nowak family has had to endure. It continues, we would get anything to turn back time so the path of both Henry and Vikram never crossed that night. We cannot change what happened. We just hope that no further pain is caused in its name. The family added, quote, apologies to the Sikh community for our son's actions, which have unfairly brought the community into disrepute, and ask that the tragedy is not used to inflame division and hostility. But of course it will be. The officers who were called to the murder scene are still being treated as witnesses. IOPC director said, "We acknowledge that this case has raised questions about the actions of the attending officers, and we are aware that a few minutes of police body-worn footage has been issued by the force following the conclusion of criminal proceedings." Quote, "As part of our ongoing investigation, we are reviewing a large amount of police body-worn footage, which we need to consider in context with other evidence we have obtained, including review material presented during the murder trial as we establish the full circumstances." Digwa appeared in a Southampton's court earlier alongside his father, 52, and his brother, 27, who are on bail. They're each charged with 6 counts of possessing an offensive weapon in a private place. Okay. So that's the story. Kind of a quick read. If you're still here, like and subscribe. Of course, we're going to get into X. I guess this is the father, Henry Nowak's father, out on the murder of his son. Let's get into it. 2 minutes.
With his final words, he told officers that he could not breathe. He told them he had been stabbed. In fact, Henry told officers that he could not breathe 9 times. He told them he had been stabbed 4 times. The response from one officer was, "I don't think you have, mate." The police have said they were misled by the murderer, and that the scene when they arrived was complex. Unfortunately, it seems to us the truth is much simpler. The police were told by our son himself and by a member of the public who called 999 that they heard someone shout that they had been stabbed. But the police did not believe them.
Like, this is why, like, the thing is, the police are so necessary to uphold capitalism and uphold class society. They need a lot of them. Unfortunately, the standard is low. Okay, a lot of racist idiots who hate minorities get into roles of power, and the victim wasn't even a fucking, you know, it was a white guy. So, like, you know, obviously is going to be treated even more of a tragedy by, like, the BBC and Western media, etc., and is going to be made to cause division against obviously the faith and all the good stuff that X is, you know, there to do, which, you know, of course, is typical. Anyway, thank you for the follow. I saw you, Chloe. Thank you. But anyway, let's keep going.
Henry was pulled across the gravel, his hands forced behind his back, and he was placed in handcuffs. Instead of being treated as a dying victim, police formally arrested Henry for assault and read him his rights. That was the last thing he heard.
Isn't that crazy?
Henry
That's so
did
fucked.
not die with dignity. He did not die with the care he deserved. He lost consciousness before anyone believed him. Let me be absolutely clear. We hold Vikram Digwa solely and 100% responsible for the brutal murder of our son. But Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody.
Damn.
The way he was treated was inhumane and degrading. His murderer, however, was afforded decency. He was believed. He was not handcuffed when arrested. He was not handcuffed when transported to the police station. As far as we understand, he was never handcuffed at all. And, as Vikram Digwa himself told the court, whilst under arrest for Henry's murder, police even took him to the kitchen so he could choose his food. The contrast is unbearable.
I mean, at the same time, what are you gonna do? You know, like, the system is the system. It's shitty, but, like, hey, shit and eat at 8 o'clock, you know? You're going to jail. Anyway. Get into some X. Let's get into some X corner of this story. Listen to every word from Henry Nowak's father. It's worse than we predicted. He told the police officer he was stabbed 4 times. Yes is yes. Yeah, the footage must be released. Yes. 18-year-old white male, Henry Nowak's father, just went off saying the killer stabbed his son and police did nothing despite his immediate death. Where is the outrage? Where is the outrage, barbarian? where are the takes? I'm not gonna lie, after seeing that body cam footage of Henry Nowak's horrific last moments, I'm struggling to control my anger. The chief constable of Hampshire Police and every single one of those. Well, of course they should be fucking charged. Jesus. Anyway, that's the story. I guess there's no huge takes. Anyway, that's the story. Of course, it will be just used to probably further divide people. Every story is, you know, when a white kid is slain by any minority, it is, you know, usually used for that sort of stuff. But anyway,